Hey everyone, this is Joe, and I wanted to welcome you to an evening to discuss what's going on in the industry and to discuss those with a very special guest tonight on how to save for your rental cars. And what we're going to do before we get started, I do want to let you know that if I'm not looking at the screen, I am running this by myself this evening. And if I kind of look away, it's not because I'm trying to ignore everybody. It's just so that I want to make sure that everything's running great in the background. So also this chat will be available for replay on our YouTube channel, as well as the Award Travel 101 Facebook group. So go ahead and join there if you're watching from YouTube. If not, you can check us out and we'll talk about more here in a minute. I'm going to introduce to you today Jonathan Weinberg from Autoslash, and he's going to talk more about what's going on in the industry right now. And so thanks for joining us today, Jonathan.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
So we've seen some posts in the group, and I was talking to you a little bit before we jumped on here live that everything is looking differently now that people are starting to consider travel again. And for those of you who've already been out, you've kind of seen the barren landscape. But Jonathan, tell us more about what you shared the other day in the Award Travel 101 Facebook group and what you wanted to kind of get us started with tonight.
Yeah, so we've sort of got a unique bird's eye view of the car rental industry from our perch over here at Autoslash. We have a large number of people every day coming to us and asking us to help them get a good deal on a car rental. And we started seeing something about a month back that was very concerning to us, namely that people were requesting cars and we were having trouble fulfilling those requests. Occasionally we'll get a request here or there where a rental car company might be sold out, holidays and Christmas, Thanksgiving, that sort of thing. You might see an entire airport sold out, but for the most part, we're able to find availability and, alternatives for people. But what we were seeing here was something that was sort of unprecedented, namely that people were requesting cars and we were seeing entire airports in almost entire states, Florida specifically, with just no cars. And it was just, it was crazy. And, at first, I kind of attributed it to President's Day weekend because Valentine's Day also fell on the same weekend. And, people are a little bit stir crazy with COVID and the pandemic and they want to just get out. And I said, okay, things were a little tight this weekend, but it actually started to get worse and worse. And it's gotten to the point now where, it's a full blown epidemic, and not the COVID type. And I think we're going to see quite a bit of constraints in the future, and people really need to be aware of it, because if you're going to travel and need a car, you better be planning ahead. Otherwise you're either going to pay through the nose or you're not going to have one at all.
So let me take a step back. So you have been around the industry for a while, and let's for everybody who's not familiar with Jonathan, tell us a little bit about your background and starting Autoslash and how long you've been around rental cars. So maybe that'll help give a little perspective of what you've seen so far.
Sure. I started Autoslash over 11 years ago. I actually caught the travel bug early on. My father worked for the airlines and I worked for a travel agency, but ended up in finance. And eventually I kind of got bored with that. And I started doing some consulting. Some of you may know an airfare deal site called Airfare Watchdog. Yes. They were really the pioneer in that space. Probably not the not the in favor site these days, but back in the day they were the ones who were really finding the deals. My kind of work with them wound down, and I had said, what else can I do to stay in travel? I really had caught that travel bug. I wanted to get out of my current finance gig. And I said, car rentals is really sort of this space where nobody's really paying attention to it. I like to call it the redheaded stepchild of the travel industry. It's one of those things where it's not glamorous like a first class suite on an Emirates flight. It's not some amazing resort with 5-star amenities. It really just is there to get you from point A to point B. But at the same time, I think that provided an opportunity because nobody was focusing on it. It was really just something that you had to go do. We said, can we do this better? Is there a way to actually go ahead and save people some money using the same tactics that we used ourselves to in our own travels? And I think that there were really two ways that we found that you could really save some serious cash with car rentals. And one was to use coupons, discount codes, and the other one was to track the rate over time. And if you take both of those things and you make them together, you really have an unbeatable combination of basically driving the price through the floor. So it's really a powerful tool, and it's something that we've been refining over the years. And I hate to toot my own horn, but we're the best. We're the best at what we do. We're the only site that does what we do. We have a fantastic team. I think many of them are on the chat with us tonight. And these guys, we don't have some offshore support group answering questions. These guys are travel hackers. These guys are the same folks that are, in Award Travel 101. I think that, half of my team was already members and probably the rest are now. And these guys are, living in the hobby every single day. I'm learning from them every day. We're figuring stuff out on our own. And we have that hacker mentality. To us, it's like, how do we basically exploit these systems to get you the best price possible? And it's as simple as that.
Yeah, and as I was telling you, as we were talking before we went live here, that I got my start here in the travel community of the Award Travel 101 Facebook group, and following that, and Autoslash had come out quite a few times, and I had written a small personal blog for friends and family and things like that, ahead of joining the group and becoming more active and eventually helping to administrate the group. But I had written some blogs and it actually had been featured on your blog post because it was something that I had challenged the idea whether it was as good as it was claimed from everything I'd seen, and I kept testing it, and eventually once I started learning how to use it, I was like, why am I wasting time even running around doing this when this can do this for me? And eventually today we just it's an automatic, hey, go check Autoslash, go put your Costco codes in or do whatever, and then go into Autoslash, go book from there. And if you haven't booked there already, go track it, and
Right.
That's another cool feature. Maybe you can tell people about that if they've already booked somewhere else, one of the neat features of Autoslash.
Right. I mean, we've refined our system over the years. I feel like we're going to get you the best price 90% of the time. Nobody's 100%. So we encourage people, go out there, do your legwork, go try to find the best deal. I think most of our customers now, as you said, after a while, they realize, like, why am I going to waste my time? It's like, even if I can come up with a, 5% savings or whatever, I could just go to Autoslash, plug it in, and then, it's not have to deal with the hassle. But hey, go out there, find the best deal that you can, and then plug it into our tracking tool. It's free. All you have to do is give us your car rental confirmation number, the company you book with, and a couple of other key pieces of information. We get all the details of your rental, and then what we do is we reprice the rental every single day. We keep checking for lower rates. And, do prices go up and down? Absolutely. Oftentimes prices will drop right before the pickup date approaches. The last thing in the world you need to do before your big vacation is to start rechecking your car rental rates. Hey, leave it to us. That's what we do. And I'm actually shocked myself. Like, all the time I put my own car rental reservations in and I forget about them. And and all of a sudden, like the day before I'm about to leave, it says, hey, we found your rate, it's $30 cheaper. I'm like, hell yeah, I'll book that. So it's a pretty cool tool, and it's automated and it gets the job done. And the really nice thing about it is that we're out there scouring the internet for coupons all the time. We've got all sorts of tricks and tools to go and find new ones, and web page alerts and stuff like that. So let's say you've got the best deal today. We may find a better coupon tomorrow. We may plug it into our system, and then the next time your reservation rolls around and we're rechecking it, hey, instead of a 20% discount code, now we're applying a 30% discount code. You just saved yourself another, 20, 30, $40 on your rental. So it's a pretty powerful tool. it's one that the car rental industry is not very fond of, to be honest. We sort of cast our lot early in life, and it was get consumers the best possible deal that we can, or work with the industry and sort of water everything down. And for better or for worse, it just worked out that we're a very consumer centric service. We're proud of that. We made a decision early on. We said, okay, we could make a little bit more money if we sort of held back the discount, stuff like that. But what's the point? I personally know that if we get you the best deal, if we drop your price 40% or 60% or even 80% sometimes, then we know that you're going to come back. We know you're going to tell your friends and family about the deals that you got, and that's going to give us even more business. So that's just the way we operate. That's one of our core tenets.
And one of the things that I'm going to come back and I'll talk a little bit about this with regards to taking care of your clients. I found, a couple years ago, it was I think it was back in the summer of 2019, there were a couple situations with Ward Travel 101 members having some issues. And that was one of the things that really stood out to me about Autoslash, is that you took care of them when the car rental companies left them hanging. And one of them was one of my former Ward Travel 101 moderator partners. And she was overseas, and I think she rented with Sixt, maybe it was. I can't remember who it was at that time. But, they had basically told her whatever she had, it wasn't valid. And you guys came in and helped, make her whole. And that was,
right.
Just incredible to me. I'd heard about that with somebody else happening as well. And the fact that you guys just went out, and when you didn't have to, it wasn't really your fault. You did everything you were supposed to do, and right. It was taken care of. So,
hey, look, it's just good business sense, because, if you go out there and you leave a customer hanging, you leave a bad taste in their mouth, they're not out to book with you again, and they're not out to tell other people about you. So it's just the type of thing where I want to be able to sleep at night. I want to know that I did everything in my power to make things right for the customer. Penny wise, pound foolish is not a smart way to run a business. I've been on the other side of it myself with, travel companies and banks and, everyone else and stuff like that. I know how it feels. And we just feel like there's a better way to do it. And, it's sort of like you reap what you sow. So if you take care of customers like you want to be treated yourself, they're going to take care of you. They're going to come back and they're going to give you their business, and they're going to tell other people about it. I mean, I'm amazed and heartened by the fact I get alerts from Reddit and Facebook groups and places like, far off corners of the internet, like Disboards, where they're talking about Disney travel and stuff like that, and TripAdvisor. And, I see, because I have alerts set up on Autoslash, and I see people say, hey, where can I get a good deal? And they're like, oh, go to Autoslash. I always get a good deal with them. They take good care of you and stuff. So, hey, it pays dividends, and that's just the way I feel every business should operate. It's a shame that more of them don't, frankly.
Now with Autoslash, are there any, I know that you can put in a lot of different factors. So you can put in all the airline loyalty programs you're a member of, all the discount clubs like Sam's and Costco and places like that. And there are a lot of these different things that you use to help find people discount codes on cars. But are there any other car rental agencies that aren't covered by Autoslash?
So we cover all the major agencies. We've got most of the minor ones as well. There are a few, far-flung sites that, kind of bit players that operate, just in very small regional areas and stuff. My feeling on those, I mean, there are some that are good. Actually, I can tell you one. I actually dropped my wallet at the San Juan airport a few months ago in Puerto Rico, and somebody from Charlie Car Rental found it and picked it up, and the guy kind of came back to the terminal and handed it to me and stuff like that. And I've actually heard good things about Charlie Car Rental. So if there's one company I think that I'd like to get on our system that's not there today, it's probably them. I think they do a good job, and, kind of our same model of service. But yeah, I mean, we cover all the major companies. We work directly with Priceline. Priceline's our primary provider. We also occasionally will send offers through Expedia. I would like to address something that comes up often. People are like, well, why should I use Autoslash? They just send you to Priceline to book. And yes, we send you to Priceline to book, but there's a specific reason for that. And, one of the primary reasons is Priceline gives us commission on any of the business we refer to them. So that's really how we pay our employees. That's how we keep the lights on, and that's how we stay in business. But more to the point is that in order for us to do what we do, we need to apply coupons and discount codes to the rental. And Priceline, we found, has the most capable system for applying coupons and discount codes. We know Priceline system inside and out. I'm in weekly contact with their senior product managers on the car side and stuff, and we know how to make their system do what we want it to do, which is to get you guys a lower rate. So we know how to push coupons and discount codes into the system. We know how to, I don't want to use the word manipulate because that's not really what we do, but we basically know how to maximize Priceline's ability to get the best price on that rental car. So that's the primary reason. If we thought Expedia was able to do that for us, we probably would refer more business to them. But Priceline is the most capable system out there. But if you go directly to Priceline by yourself, you're not going to get the discount because they're just giving you basically, the rack, the standard rate.
Right.
When you use Autoslash, we're actually figuring out behind the scenes, and it's essentially like a brute force attack against the price. We've got coupons, we've got discount codes, we've got all these companies. There's, 20 different cars, 15 different companies. We're running hundreds and hundreds of combinations every single time we're pricing your rental, and we're figuring out which is the best deal based on what your personal affiliations are, whether you're a Costco member or AAA member, whether you want an economy car, you don't care, you want the cheapest, you specifically want a Jeep, you only want to be booked with these companies. So there's a lot of work that goes into that secret sauce to get you what you want, and even more to the point, to keep out what you don't want. You don't want a whole bunch of random companies. Some people are willing to, are happy booked with whatever the cheapest company there is. Other people are like, hey, if I can't use the executive aisle with National, it's not worth it to me. So, and we want to cater to both audiences. So it's we try to make it as flexible as possible.
I'm going to interject some questions here. Normally we go a little further into this, but I have a lot of questions here tonight for you, so that's really good. Yvonne, he has a question that looks maybe perhaps a little critical. It's saying this Autoslash, he's saying that Autoslash was very good at finding really good deals, but that he hasn't had much luck over the past couple of years. And is there something that you're working on to bring back its luster?
I don't think we've lost our luster. Yvonne is either an amazing deal hunter, or it's just bad luck that whatever rentals he's booking, we're not able to optimize them. I mean, I'll be perfectly honest. There are some rentals where we save a customer 5%, and there are other rentals where we save a customer 80%. I mean, I see it every single day, and some of it is luck, some of it is skill. I mean, just to give you one example, I was pricing out some stuff for a customer earlier today, and SUVs were like $1,200, and the customer was a member of USAA, and the USAA discount code got applied, and it was $400 for the same SUV. Wow. And how does an SUV go from $1,200 to $400? And I was like, okay, well, it must not just be the USAA code, it must be any code. So I said, okay, I unchecked the box in our back-end system for USAA, and I said, run all the other discount codes, and everything else was like $800 plus. So right. Why in this particular case? And to be honest, USAA, it's a good discount code. It's not the best that we have. I wouldn't say it's the best performer, but in this particular instance, right, the USAA code was the best. And that I think is an important point, is that people will say, well, Costco Travel's the best, or I always book with AAA, or I always book with XYZ code or something like that. I mean, unless you're talking about like a corporate code, if you're using like, you're an employee of some company, or you're just using the code for an employee, we don't really, traffic in that. But I would say that, you never know which discount is going to work out to be the best. And it's really an issue of nothing ventured, nothing gained. So if it literally takes 30 seconds to put your reservation into the tracking system. There are a lot of people out there who's like, why should I bother wasting my time deal hunting? I'll just let Autoslash do it for me. There's other people who, want to say, hey, let me go out and find the best deal. And they look at it as a challenge for Autoslash to go beat their best deal. I would say, people should continue to put it into the Autoslash tracking system. And if we find a better deal, hey, that's, money saved, and, you're not leaving anything on the table. You've done a great job. But I think the vast majority of people see some significant savings. So again, I don't think we've lost any of our luster. In fact, we're constantly working to try to optimize those deals as much as possible.
One of the other members, Paul, was asking, can you talk to getting your privileges with Hertz, National, and all the majors and still getting benefits without having to go to the counter?
Absolutely. So booking with Autoslash is exactly the same as booking directly with the car rental company in terms of benefits. You will accrue points, you will skip the counter, you will choose from the executive aisle or President Circle Ultimate Choice, or whatever your preferred poison is over there. There really is no difference. The key to it is just on the Priceline checkout page is putting in your loyalty member number. So there's a little expander there that says, and loyalty, I forget the exact terminology. I think it's like loyalty member points. And if you just expand that section and put your loyalty number in there, you'll see it. And then you can actually log into National System or Hertz or, Avis, and you'll actually see your number. You'll see it. You can log into your account and you'll see your reservations there. So that's how you know that the number was successfully applied and that you're getting the benefit of it. National's particular is interesting. And this is something, we had prepaid rates for quite a while. We've kind of taken a little bit of a hiatus from our prepaid. We may have them back at some point. But one thing that was great about prepaids was that they were priced really, really aggressively, and they still had some really nice cancellation terms. You could cancel up to 48 hours without a penalty. But the problem was, because they were like, quote unquote leisure rates, or what the rental car industry calls tour rates, you couldn't apply your member number to it. You couldn't apply your loyalty member number. But what we ultimately found was that National was unique amongst all the rental car companies. You actually don't even need to apply your National Emerald Club member number to your reservation, and you can still get all the Emerald member benefits. And this is actually useful beyond Autoslash. Let's say you book a reservation, for whatever reason you forget to put your National Emerald number on the reservation, and then by the time you realize that the price has gone up and you're like, oh, it's gonna, I can't rebook this now with my number. You don't even have to worry about it. And I'll tell you why. When you go to the rental lot, you just go to the aisle, executive aisle, whatever you're a member of. You pick up the car and you drive straight to the exit booth. Even if you're a National loyalty member, your Emerald number is not on the reservation. And the reason is because once you hand the booth attendant your driver's license, they will look you up and they will automatically associate your Emerald profile with your reservation. So it's not even necessary to have it on there. I mean, that said, it's good to put it on there, but
Right.
You can actually go ahead and book a prepaid deal and still use the Emerald Isle and get points and all that kind of stuff. So that's a pretty cool benefit. And that's specifically with National. Hertz is more of a pain with that. Unless the Hertz number was applied at the beginning, you could have a dispensation for the president, and they're still not going to apply it for you.
Yeah, with that, I've had some experiences going into the National aisle recently, and I'm glad you shared that, because that was something I didn't know. But it'll be, I guess it'll make me rest easier next time, that if I do mess up or something like that, where I don't put in my number, that I will be taken care of. So another question here. We have a bunch of them lining up here, so hopefully we don't run too late on this. But Award Travel 101 founder Richard Kerr had a question for you, and he wanted to know if you had any ideas about with the downsizing of fleets and the effects of pricing this summer. A lot of panic that car rental prices are going to be crazy as travel kind of returns. So are you hearing anything about what's going on in the industry regarding that?
I don't have any insider sources in the industry, but I can only tell you what we see from the outside. And I can tell you that from what we can see, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And I can tell you that just, from looking at the number of people who are looking to travel, and, the fact that people continue to get vaccinated and continue to feel more comfortable traveling both by plane and by car and all sorts of modes of travel. The rental car companies are not going to be able to gear up quickly enough, either move vehicles from point A to point B, or be able to acquire new vehicles. And there are challenges with acquiring new vehicles as well. You have to keep in mind that the rental car industry has 50 plus years of experience with how these trends work. They know that spring break is going to bring an increase of I'm just picking a number, 40% in demand. And then, as summer travel, as summer comes up, they need to move cars up from Florida up to the Northeast because people are going to be, picking up cars more in the cities, Boston, New York, New England, that sort of thing. COVID is really just, throwing a monkey wrench to this whole thing. The demand patterns are all wacky. People are moving out of cities or were moving out of cities for this past year. They're now living in the suburbs, either temporarily or permanently. They didn't need a car in the city because they were taking public transportation or just biking around. And now all of a sudden they need a car, and they're faced with the decision: do I buy a car, new, used? Do I just rent for a few months? So you're having people that are taking rental cars, and they're taking them for much longer periods of time, and they're tying them up. And those are vehicles that are not available for use by the average person who just going on vacation, to South Florida for a week or whatever. So it's a challenge for them. I think it's going to be hard for them to predict that demand. I think they were caught flat-footed a little bit by how quickly the demand came back, and that's what we're seeing right now. Is that there's just this huge imbalance in terms of the number of people who want to rent versus the available cars. And I do think that more and more people are going to want to travel. And I think that those who don't plan ahead are going to be, sticker shock in terms of the prices and the fact that they're not able to get cars. I've seen a bunch of comments online over the last couple of days where people said that, hey, I had to actually cancel my trip to Florida or wherever because I couldn't get a rental car. People, they don't want to necessarily fly down somewhere and then be stuck sitting around or having an Uber or something like that. I mean, some people don't mind. Some people, they're happy to just lay on the beach and stuff like that. For other people, it's not really a vacation unless they're able to kind of get out and about and stuff like that. That's really me. For me, I go to a new country, the first thing I want to do is jump in a rental car and start exploring and stuff like that. That's just my, the way I am. But everybody's different.
Yeah, no, that's something we have been talking about for a while, because if you go back to the early days of the pandemic, we saw the rental car agencies and the lots were just overloaded with cars. And so they basically offloaded them. They sold all these cars off. They reduced their inventory to accommodate the demand. And you've been seeing that the demand has been increasing. And we've gotten a lot of questions in the Facebook group about, hey, can I expect to have my rental car status honored? And you can. I just went to, I was telling Jonathan 2 weeks ago for my birthday, I went out to Las Vegas for 45 hours and basically showed up to LAS, went out to the executive aisle at National, and there were 3 cars. I'm used to in the past going and seeing all kinds of cars, loads and loads of cars, Mercedes, Infinitis, Cadillacs, whatever. And there were a couple of Chevy Malibus. And I was like, well, it's better than waiting in the hour-long line that was there at the airport at the counter. So at least I had something, but it's not what I'm used to seeing.
Yeah, the good news is that they'll extend and honor your status. The bad news is it probably won't do you much.
And with that, if you're looking to get that, this was probably the most repetitive question I've seen in the group when it comes to these, because we've had a few of these questions pop up where people said, hey, I'm hoping to get an SUV. You're just going to have to rent it. I mean, you're going to have to try to get that vehicle right off, because it's probably not going to be in the premier aisles, whichever you are.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you get lucky, and I think that you were luckier you're more likely to be lucky in the past. I mean, I've certainly had my share of great vehicles. I've driven the Range Rovers and stuff, and Mercedes GLSs and stuff on intermediate car reservations. It can still happen, but it's a lot less likely these days. I mean, the rental car companies, they had to kind of hunker down, and I know Avis sold off 30% of their fleet. And it's going to be more the exception rather than the rule. And I think that the other thing I see a lot on Flyer Talk is that folks are like, okay, well, I'm just going to reserve an intermediate car and hope that I can get a full size SUV. I'm like, well, it's probably not a good plan if you've got 6 of your closest relatives with you and each one of them has 3 bags.
Right.
I think that it's fine to say, hey, let me give that a shot, but you need to have a backup plan. And that's another thing that I would like to stress to the group is that it's always good to have a backup plan. It's always good, especially if you're renting something that's not common. If you're renting like a premium SUV, and you definitely need a Suburban, or if you need a full size van. I mean, I don't want to tell people to go out there and make 18 reservations and screw up the car rental companies in terms of their yield management and stuff like that. But, it's like, it's not a bad idea to have a backup reservation. And if you're not going to use it, then go cancel it. If you want to try to reserve a mid-sized car at National and spin the roulette wheel at the Emerald Isle and see what you get. And if not, you can always, grab that luxury car that was $40 more that you booked with Hertz. And then, give it a shot, see what happens when you arrive. It works a lot better at places that are not called LAX, where, the rental car lots are spread over, half of Inglewood over there. But, if you've got a consolidated rental center like, Vegas or Phoenix or something like that, you can kind of walk from one area of the garage to the other. But, just especially these days, it's good to have a backup plan. That's what I'll say.
So Dan asks, with the current rental car shortage, what is the best way to avoid a Seinfeld car reservation situation?
Well, I would say, going back to what I just said, is a backup right there to make sure that you're going to have a car, period, and that you're going to get what you wanted. But I think that even going back a little bit further, the most important advice is plan ahead. Don't assume that you're going to be able to grab that really cheap flight to wherever for $50, on a Wednesday. For a Friday night flight, and then be able to grab that rental car, because that flight's going to be $50 and your rental car is going to be $500 if you can get it at all. We're turning people away left and right at Autoslash just because we can't find availability. The state of Florida is completely sold out this weekend, and that is not hyperbole. If you don't believe me, go and search on pretty much any airport except for Miami. For picking up on a Friday and dropping off on Monday. I think 18 of the 20 airports, I checked today, 18 of the 20 airports in Florida are completely sold out, or maybe had 1 or 2 cars left and they were $400 or $500 a piece. So if you don't want to get caught in that situation, don't be booking the same week, because it's probably going to end badly for you. Try to give some thought. I mean, I'm as likely as anyone to grab that cheap mistake fare and jump on a flight and go. But you just need to keep in mind that the rental car shouldn't be an afterthought. A lot of people say, okay, well, I'll book my flight and then I'll find a good hotel, and then when I get to it, I'll book the rental car. If you do that, you're playing with fire this year, or at least for the next few months, because it's just an asymmetrical type of situation that's gonna the constraints in supply are going to cause a lot of issues.
So our moderator, one of our moderators, Angie, she'd asked a question actually the other day, and I'm going to answer that one offline. But the question she asked here was one of the reasons that she likes and recommends using Costco is the free second driver, which was great for some of her girls' trips. And she's asking, is there a way for that to carry through Autoslash?
I'm glad you asked that. So Autoslash does something very unique in that regard. So we actually will tell you exactly which deals that we're offering you have a free second driver included with it. And not only that, but we tell you which ones allow a spouse to drive for free versus one that allows someone of any relationship. So for example, there are a number of companies that allow spouses to drive for free, and that includes Avis, Budget, Enterprise, Fox, and a couple of others which I can't recall off the top of my head. And that pretty much as anywhere in the country. There are others where the rules are a little bit more strict. For example, Hertz, a spouse can drive for free, but you have to be a gold member in order for that to happen. And then there are places where additional drivers are free just automatically. So the entire state of California, additional drivers are free no matter what. And that includes spouses or, just the random friend you brought with you, to drive for the weekend or whatever. But specifically with discount codes, so things like AAA, Costco, they afford you a discount, as well as the additional driver benefit. If our system finds that the Costco deal is the best, and that's the one it's presenting you, it'll say right on our offers page, it'll say additional driver included with this deal. Remember to bring your Costco card, or remember to bring proof of your AAA membership. So we actually have that, all that logic built into our system, and we'll let you know which deals have the free additional driver. So the nice thing about using Autoslash is that we search all the car rental companies with all the deals. So if you go to Costco Travel, it's great. Don't get me wrong. I would say that next to Autoslash, Costco Travel is probably the best place to book your car, because Costco has negotiated some really great rates. But I'll also say that when you go to Costco Travel, you're missing half the companies. Costco Travel does not cover Hertz, Dollar, Thrifty, National, Payless, and Fox, all the small guys and stuff like that. So if the best deal is with Avis, Budget, Enterprise, Alamo, maybe I'm forgetting one, but it definitely those are the major ones. If it's with one of those companies, then yeah, you'll get a super deal. But if it's with one of the other companies, then you're basically just leaving money on the table. With Autoslash, you can just check out that Costco box in your affiliations, and we're going to check all those deals side by side. So we'll let you know if the Costco deal is the best. Hey, we'll apply the Costco discount code to your Avis rental. If the Hertz AAA deal is better, we'll let you know, so you can compare them all side by side. We're the only site that compares all the discounts for all the major affiliations and gives you a rundown of exactly what the benefits are and what it's going to cost you.
So with those benefits, as a follow-up question, what she also asked is, if those benefits follow through, do they follow through when you go overseas?
So the rules for Costco are different overseas. There is a list of countries which Michael on my team, who's watching right now, probably, I'm sure he knows them off the top of his head. He's like my guru in terms of like all the arcane rental car knowledge. I can follow up with the group and let you know, but there are some countries where using the Costco discount code will give you the additional driver, but it is not universal. So you do have to check to make sure that you're in a country that Avis, Budget, and Costco or Alamo, whoever, that they allow that. And the rules are different based on the company. So for example, the additional driver benefit may exist for Costco for Avis in France, but it may not exist for Enterprise and Alamo. So you got to kind of read the fine print to know for sure.
Cool. Question from Dan again. Are prepaid reservations more guaranteed than pay at the counter reservations?
They are not. You are just as likely to get stiffed on a prepaid reservation as you are on a pay later reservation. If you have a prepaid reservation and you are scheduled to pick up at 4:15 and some guy shows up at 4 o'clock with a pay later reservation and they have one car on the lot, he's going to walk off with it and you're going to walk in and they're going to say, we just ran out of cars. They'll refund you, but there's, they're not going to say, oh, wait, we have this prepaid reservation. The guy already paid us. We should hold on to this car because he is coming in. The reality is that guy with a prepaid reservation may not come in. People no show on prepaid reservations all the time. Their flights get delayed and canceled and so on and so forth. It's important to understand, and I think most people in this group do understand that, but the average consumer doesn't, that when you reserve a car, that car is not allocated for you like that airplane seat is allocated for you. It's not like, Joe, this is Joe Petrovic's car. He reserved the midsize. We need to set this one aside for him. You have cars coming and going all the time. There's one-way rentals, coming into a station, out of a station. People are returning early. People are returning late. It's basically just a giant pool. And for the most part, the rental car companies do a pretty good job of managing that pool. They know what the no-show factor usually is. They know how much they can overbook, just like flights, in order to ensure that they have the right the right amount of vehicles around. That's why sometimes you'll show up and the aisle will be completely devoid of anything besides a Chevy Cruze that, you don't want to be caught dead in. But, and then other times it's just, chock full of cars and stuff like that. It depends on the situation. And, like I said, the issue right now is that it's sort of an asymmetrical demand, and it's hard to predict. And some of this stuff has to do with government policy and vaccination speeds and all this kind of stuff. And it's just something that the rental car companies are not very well versed in. Nobody is, frankly.
Right.
It's not their fault. And it's just a little bit hard to tell. And I, like I said, I think that they were caught a little off guard. They're trying to play catch up right now. They will. They certainly will be able to get more cars in. They're going to have to pay a higher price for them because of the chip shortages and all the other challenges facing the car manufacturing industry. But, they'll get them in there because it's good business, because they're going to charge you guys $100 a day. Maybe not you guys, but the people that are willing to pay $100 a day, and they can overpay a little bit for the cars than they would have in the past, because they're going to make it up on time and mileage on the rental car rate. So
right.
It's a fact of life.
Question from Josh here, and I think this is an interesting one. Are there any differences that you're seeing in availability and pricing between airport and off-airport location inventory these days?
So, the common knowledge, I don't want to say common misperception, because it's not really, but, most people feel that you should rent off airport wherever possible, because the taxes and fees are lower. And in many cases, that's true. But in many cases, it's also not true. And I don't want to get too far in the weeds here, but a lot of different cities, metropolitan areas, they have the same things that apply at an airport. They're starting to apply them at off-airport locations as well, to discourage people from kind of flying in and then Ubering it off airport and renting off airport. So they're basically saying, okay, well, if we're going to charge this tourism tax and this transportation fee for the airport, monorail, and whatever, we're going to charge it at any location within X miles of the airport. So sometimes it may not even help all that much. Some of the fees may be assessed, maybe not all the fees. But oftentimes rates off airport are often lower. But the flip side to that is that there's more competition at the airport. So whereas you may only have like a Hertz and an Enterprise in a particular area, in terms of like off airport locations, at the airport you've got, especially Las Vegas or LAX or Phoenix or something like that, Orlando even more so, you've got like 16 to 20 companies there, and they're all fighting tooth and nail for your business. And in some cases, they're dropping the price down to, single digits per day. Maybe not now, but, certainly it was back in October, November. We were seeing it earlier than that. So, the short version is that there's no hard and fast rule, and you need to check both airport locations and off-airport locations if you want to get the best deal possible. And you want to also factor in the cost and the convenience. One thing that people often forget is that they forget that you can rent off airport and then rent a one-way back to the airport. So let's say that it is cheaper to rent off airport because of less taxes and fees, but you got to Uber it from the airport, over to there. In Las Vegas, to be honest, it might actually be a better deal, because you don't have to deal with that the rental car shuttle bus and dealing with that whole mess and hoofing it over. Grab your Uber outside, have them, assuming that you're coming in, at a time the rental car company is open. It's not going to work if your flight gets in at 10:30 p.m. But, or if you want to rent the next day, Uber over there or go to your hotel, and the next day pick up off airport, and then just set the return for the airport. And then you don't have to worry about, being stressed for your flight on the way back. So that's kind of one thing. So I would check both. I would check, and you can check like, airport to off airport to off airport. There's lots of different ways that you can kind of price it out if you're so motivated. But the other thing I also wanted to say was that what we're seeing right now, and I think that was kind of the specific genesis of the question in terms of like what we're seeing now in terms of airport versus off airport. Typically the airport will get sold out first, and then you'll see that every single off airport location around the airport will get sold out as well. So that's what we're seeing in Florida right now. We're seeing that, like, the first one I think was like Punta Gorda, Port Charlotte, around there. we were seeing that the airport was sold out, and then there was a little bit of availability off airport, and then like all of a sudden, like within like 2 days, like nothing could be found within like 30 miles of that whole area, and then it spread to other areas. Then you couldn't find anything in Sarasota, you couldn't find anything in Tampa and St. Petersburg and stuff like that. It just it's sort of like a chronic condition, and I think that the rental car companies are also trying to pull vehicles from other areas where demand is lower, to higher demand, but it doesn't really work when the problem is just everywhere, and then they just sort of throw up their hands and we're like, okay, we'll just zero out the inventory. So,
well, let me ask you this, because I don't want to miss out on discussing HotelSlash as well, but we have lots more questions coming in, and I don't want to keep you too long. How much time do you have to continue on here?
I could stay on for another, 20 minutes or so, a half hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit. I'll circle back while we have these questions coming in, and we'll cover some of those. But I'd also like to get this in because you had talked about saving some money and helping members save money with HotelSlash. And I have not used that. I'm much more familiar with Autoslash, and I would assume that most of our members are as well. But how does transitioning from Autoslash, where you can use those benefits and things like that, all that, is to HotelSlash? Obviously, the idea is that you're there to check those rates on hotels and save members there. But a lot of the Award Travel 101 and beyond communities will be looking at also status and benefits and things like that as well.
Right. So yes, it is true. Well, let me just back up for a second. So HotelSlash has still kind of been in a nascent stage to a certain degree. We were just kind of getting rolling with it when COVID started. And in a way, it was a bit fortuitous. I think that we had to kind of rethink exactly, what our plans were and kind of did a little bit of reworking with it. But what we have right now is we specifically have the tracking function. So if you imagine the idea of Autoslash, you have quote and you have track. If you want to get the best deal on your rental, you come and get a quote, and then you can track it afterwards, and we'll keep checking for a better deal. If you want to book it somewhere else, you can just go ahead and book it wherever you want, and you can track it with us. With HotelSlash, we specifically built the tracking function first. So you basically go and book wherever you want. You can book directly with the hotel or booking.com or hotels.com, Expedia, and then just forward us your hotel confirmation, forward it to save@hotelslash.com. And we'll basically get all the details from your confirmation, and we'll see if we can find you a better deal. So that's the basic idea behind it. We offer both prepaid and pay at hotel rates. In most cases, they're not technically eligible for status. Or the reason why I say technically is because it would be like as if you booked like a rate at Expedia or something like that. And the hotel can say no, but in all the times that I've ever booked, this type of rate, and all the people on my team, and they've basically gone to the front desk and, asked to have their loyalty number added to their reservation, they've gotten no pushback. Does it happen? Absolutely. I'm sure there are plenty of hotels where, they'll say, well, I can't add your number. It is not a technical limitation. It's not like when they try to add your loyalty number to the reservation, the system won't take it. That is not true. And I'll tell you a little bit of way to game the system. You actually have multiple chances to do this. So when you first check into the hotel, let's say you booked a deal through Autoslash or through anywhere, through Expedia or even Chase Travel Portal, where you can't put your loyalty member number in there either. When you check into the hotel, ask them to add your loyalty member number then. If the guy gives you pushback, or the front desk gives you pushback, say, okay, come back the next day. Say, oh, I forgot to put my loyalty number in when I checked in yesterday. Can you do it for me? You can call down. You can call the operator and say, hey, can you do it for me? When you check out, you can ask them to put it on again. I guarantee you that 1 out of the 4 or 5 tries that you ask them, somebody is going to be like, sure, I'll go ahead and put it in for you. So I have never run into a situation where I was not able to get my loyalty number added to my reservation. But if loyalty benefits and that sort of thing is your sole reason for traveling, and it's you live and die by the welcome amenity and all that kind of stuff, HotelSlash may not be for you, and it's not right for everybody. We designed it as a system that would help people save money. I mean, that's what we're known for. And that's what our reason for being is. It's great on the car side that you can apply your member number, and like I said, booking with Autoslash is exactly the same. You get all your member loyalty benefits and stuff like that. It's not quite as clear cut on the hotel side, but we're going to make our mark by saving people money. It's like the welcome amenity is great, but if you had to pay $350 more for your hotel stay to get a cheap bottle of champagne, was it really worth it?
Well, and that's what I was going to go to and ask, is saying, you actually have access to some rates that aren't necessarily available to the public. So if the rate is significantly, there's a significant discount in that rate, it might be worth looking at and doing that instead, and foregoing those benefits anyways.
Right. And I want to mention also just rate variability, and this goes for the car side too. And it goes back to the question, has Autoslash lost some of its luster? And the answer is that it's going to be different for every single person and every single time you use it. And a lot of it also depends on how far in advance you book or track with us. And the reason is that rates can be very volatile, and rates will go up and down over time. In fact, when I first started the business, the first thing that I did was I approached my business partner, Mike, and I said, hey, I got this idea. Do you want to do this with me? Because I'm not a developer. I'm pretty technical, but, you don't want to put me anywhere near like a code environment, because, it's going to be a mess. So Mike said, well, it sounds like a good idea, but how, do rates really, how variable are they? How volatile are they? Do they go up and down? So I went and built this tool, I in a spreadsheet, and, kind of scraped prices from one of the big OTAs. And I actually thought the tool was broken for 3 days, because the prices were like all over the map. And I just like, okay, it clearly can't be like this. It was like one day the price for SUV would be 200, the next day it would be 450, and then it would go down to 175. And I was like, I went back to the developer who built it for me, and I was like, there's something wrong here. And then I said, wait a second, before I do this, let me actually go and just do this by hand for a bunch of different reservations. And sure enough, after a couple of days, I realized that software worked great. The problem was that the rental car pricing was all screwed up, or at least maybe not screwed up, but they just didn't have a consistent way of deciding what the value of an SUV was for a weekend in Orlando. It was whatever the market would bear, or whatever their customers. And the other thing to understand about both hotels and car rentals is that they have automated rate shopping tools. They shop their competitors all the time. And it's no accident that you'll see, like if you search for an SUV for a weekend in Las Vegas, that all the regular rates are within like $1 of each other. Why? Because they're all rate shopping each other, and then this one will undercut that one by $1, and then they'll, that one will re-undercut the other one, and then all of a sudden one of them will run out of cars, and the rate will shoot back up, and then they'll, then the others are like, oh, we don't need to be, priced $80 below our competitor. Let's raise our rates too, and then all of a sudden they have all these, there's like bad weather, and all these people couldn't pick up their cars. Now they have a lot of extra cars in the lot, from the previous week, and now they're going to drop the prices down. My point is that you never know when a good deal is going to come along. And that's why you either need to be rechecking prices every single day, or you need to let Autoslash do it for you. And hotels are the same way. I think about a year ago, my wife was going to Vegas for a business trip, and we were going to stay, I think, at one of the big ones, like Venetian or something like that. And the rate was like $1,000 for a week. And, it was a business expense. And then all of a sudden one day it dropped down to like $600 or something like that. And I was like, why was the room worth $1,000 on Wednesday, and then on Thursday it was worth $600? And then it stayed that way for maybe about 3 or 4 days. And then it went back up close to $1,000 again. And if you hadn't been checking, if you didn't have a system, or you weren't, paying attention, you would have missed out on a $400 savings. And that's really where the value comes in. So it's tracking the price over time and being able to jump when an opportunity presents itself.
When you look at those kind of savings, have you ever tracked how much you've actually saved members over the course of your 10, 11 years now with Autoslash?
Yeah, I mean, I about a year ago, I think we did kind of a back of the napkin calculation. It was over $50 million in savings. It's a significant amount more now. I haven't done the latest numbers, but overall, I would say the average savings is 30%. Now, of course, that's sort of a blended rate. I mean, the folks that are on this chat, I know some of you guys are just experts at finding the absolute best deal possible. You'll sit there with a spreadsheet and you'll calculate every single discount code and coupon and stuff. The savings is going to be much more modest for you guys. But then again, like I said, tracking is going to be hugely beneficial because you never know when the price is going to drop or when we find some discount code that you didn't, because that's what we do all day long. That's our business. For someone else who's like just basically going to go to Expedia and book whatever the regular rate is, or even go to Costco Travel and book the regular rate. Hey, the Costco Travel rate for Avis might be a great deal, but Hertz with the USAA or the AAA code or something like that is pricing at 30% lower. So, we're going to let you know that. So I would say that, on average, customers save about 30%, but we've saved customers between $50 and $100 million. And, we're just getting started on that. So.
Yeah, so if you haven't booked through Autoslash directly, go to the tracking tool, enter your current reservation, and let them do some work for you, and you'll be surprised that chances are within a minute or so you'll get some kind of response with a bunch of options. And if you don't like those options, like a lot of times, I'm not going to rent from Fox, but if that's what you just need a car and that's going to work for you, go ahead and do it. But you can wait for the one, they'll keep shopping and go from there. So.
Yeah, and if we offer you a lower rate with a company that you would never rent from, you can just click. There's a link in every email that says set your preferences here, and you can say that hey, I don't want to be booked with Fox or Advantage. I only want to be booked with one of these, one of the top brands, or only with Hertz, or only with National, whatever your status is, whatever your preferred company is. We hope to get sort of a user profile thing set up where you can make those preferences stick. Right now it's on a per reservation basis, so you kind of have to reset those preferences, but it really only takes a second to click that link and then just say, okay, these are the companies that I want to book with, or these are the only companies I want to get offers from, I should say.
Which that's perfect, because that answered another member question that had come in. So they had asked about setting that up. Let's see here. I think I'll take one or two more questions here. And is there a way to track? Yeah, so that was, that was the one that answered. So it was, they said, I don't like Fox or Thrifty, but let's see here. What was the other one? Oh, here we go. Are you considering a skip lagged-like feature suggesting best prices if taking an Uber downtown instead of renting from the airport?
Best prices, take an Uber downtown. So in other words, calculate in what the cost of the rideshare would be,
yeah,
and then compare that.
I think that was the question that Yvonne was asking.
Yeah, it's something that we've talked about. It obviously gets a bit complex to kind of wire it all together. It's something that I would like to do at some point. I'll be honest though, it's on high on our list. I wasn't aware that Skip Lag was doing something like that. I guess is that.
No, I think it was just he was using that as a reference to say, hey, if I'm going to try to do this, rather than renting from point A, I can maybe get an Uber ride or a Lyft or somewhere to there, and use that connection to save, rather than at that, so that it's coming from a different spot.
Yeah. So I guess most people are not typically like, kind of stringing one-way rentals together. I mean, that would be sort of like an outlier scenario, but certainly it's worth being able to check both, the airport location and stuff. I would like to do more in terms of being able to say, okay, I'm willing to rent at the airport or at a nearby off-airport location. What are the deals in the area? But you do have to be careful with that, because if your flight's delayed, off-airport rental locations are typically open from 8 or 9 a.m. to 5 or 6 p.m. The hours have been greatly reduced since COVID started. Many of them are closed on the weekends or only open from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. So you really have to have your flight in that window to make it worthwhile, unless of course you're willing to just rent the following day or something like that, which might be a better idea. Hey, you after your long flight, go take an Uber to your hotel, relax, and then head over to an off-airport location, not have to deal with dragging your luggage and all that kind of stuff. So but you can do it you can run 2 searches on Autoslash now. You know, it's easy enough to submit an off-airport search. What's customers sometimes do is they actually put in, we use Google Places to kind of do autofill on the address. So if you go and say, I want to rent off airport, you can put in anything you want. You can put in a city name, you can put in a landmark, you could put in like, you know, the Five Guys on, you know, like, you know, the corner or whatever. But what you can also just do is you can just type in the airport name. So you can say off airport, but put in LAX, and it'll, you know, grab the GPS coordinates for LAX, and it'll show you which off-airport locations are close by, and if it works for you. And I know for a fact the location in Marina del Rey is priced quite aggressively, and it's really only a quick trip from LAX. You could just grab an Uber right there and head over there, and they do a pretty good job. It's in a hotel, and you know, you're not going to get the problem is you're not going to get the selection of the airport. So you know, if ultimate choice, you're hoping for Hertz to, you know, perform a miracle in Pala, you know, it's probably not gonna happen at an off-airport location, you know, with a much smaller inventory. But it's worth a shot if you want to save some money.
So with that, I don't see a whole lot else coming in. Is there any one last piece of advice you'd like to throw out to members before we kind of sign off tonight?
Yeah, I would just, you know, I do want to reemphasize the point of planning early. Don't get caught flat-footed in terms of rates and availability, especially, you know, for the next 6 months or so. I don't think that the situation is going to improve until we get through the summer and until the fall. So I think that, you know, that's important. I think, you know, never assume that you've got the best deal. Never assume that, you know, this thing is always better than that thing, whether it's a discount code or, you know, a company or a particular, you know, renting off airport's always better than an on airport. You know, it's kind of like, you know, nothing ventured, nothing gained. And that's really what I tell everybody, you know, with our tracking tool. Hey, it's free. So to not use it, it's kind of foolish because, you know, hey, even if we only find you a better rate 1 out of every 5 times or 1 out of every 10 times or whatever, you know, it took you 30 seconds to stick your reservation in. At least, if nothing else, you got peace of mind that, you know, you didn't leave anything on the table, that you got the best deal, because Autoslash couldn't actually beat the rate you found. So you can pat yourself on the back and say, hey, you know, I did a good job there. And the only other thing I want to mention is that so tracking functionality is there with HotelSlash right now, but we're actively working on quote functionality, and that's really going to be a game changer for us. You're not going to have to go book somewhere else. It's a little clunky right now because we go tell you to book it, booking.com or somewhere else, but you're going to be able to basically, you know, shop us from the beginning. But it's important to keep in mind that these are what's known as closed user group rates. You do have to sign up for the service. In a similar way to Autoslash, you will get an email with a quote. And I know it may seem clunky to some people. It's like, why can't you just show me the rate, you know, right off the bat? Well, we could, but the rate wouldn't be as good because, you know, the hotel industry is very aware and, you know, nervous about, you know, people getting undercut with rates and things like that. So they really want to protect this what they call rate parity. And, you know, we don't want to do anything that's going to upset the apple cart too much. You know, we want to be able to get people good deals, but also, you know, live within the restrictions that exist in the industry so that we can, you know, go and flourish and get you guys the best deals possible. So you will get an email with those deals, and we promise you that those deals are going to be better than what you see anywhere else. So once quote is ready, you know, we'll send out an email. If you go to HotelSlash, right at the top of the page, there's an entry box you can enter your email address in. If you've used Autoslash before, you're automatically, you know, invited to the beta. You'll get an automatic invite. If you haven't used Autoslash before, you know, hey, you might want to go enter a quote through Autoslash first and then sign up for HotelSlash, and, you know, then you're automatically invited. So it's a worthwhile thing to check out. So I think using the two services together, you'll save a decent amount of money, and you know, maybe one day we'll work on airfare as well. You never know.
There you go, and there you have it, everyone. Well, Jonathan, I really appreciate you taking a little over an hour out of your time this evening to chat with us about HotelSlash or Autoslash and the, you know, future of the company, maybe jumping into airfares, who knows? We'll see where it goes. But, you know, we appreciate everything you do for the community as well, and taking care of people with the reservations when there's problems. We appreciate the savings and everything that you guys do over there. And like I said, I just want to make sure we shouted that out.
Hey, thanks for having me, and it's been fun, and you know, we look forward to saving you guys money, and don't hesitate to you know, grab our support team if they can help you out. Like I said, these guys are travel hackers, and they're here to help. So support at autoslash.com. If you have a problem, if you just got a question, you know, they're always available for you.
Awesome. And with that, I have just a couple of quick announcements for everybody. Not next week, we'll be off next week, but 2 weeks from today happens to be April Fool's. So I have a very special guest. You guys won't want to miss that. And then also, if you're looking for your next rewards card, check out the link I'll share in the comments here. Please help support the group so that we can continue doing things like this and bringing people like Jonathan here to talk about all the things that we love to do in traveling, saving money, and traveling, living better. So again, Jonathan, thanks for joining us this evening. Everyone, have a great evening. Take care.
Thanks. Take care.